Hello and welcome to today's special on-demand webinar, Rethinking Work and Traditional Retirement. My name is Justin Smith, and I'm joined today by Savant's Chief Innovation and Strategy Officer, Rob Morrison.
Excited to be here today, Justin.
Thanks, Rob. And I'm also joined by my fellow financial advisor, Will Gunlicks.
Thanks, Justin. Excited to be here. This is a really interesting topic that's become top of mind for so many people in their 50s and 60s. Especially in the wake of the pandemic over the last couple of years. The way we think and feel about work has shifted totally, especially as you get closer and closer to that traditional retirement age. Reprioritizing how work fits into our lives and also putting a bigger focus on our overall well-being. Some people are being forced into this, thinking about it top of mind with layoffs and downsizing. While we found others are seizing the opportunity to get off the corporate treadmill and start running at their own pace. Some people are realizing that the traditional hard stop model of retirement isn't for them. We believe there are a number of ways people might arrive at this crossroads, but the impression is upon arrival, their focus is shifting away again from the traditional retirement and towards seeing if their financial independence is there or if work is optional at this point for them moving forward. With that said, there's really no blueprint to follow, which can leave a huge feeling of being uncertainness and not having the confidence to take the next step. So Rob, what have you found some of the struggles and questions are that you see out there with clients that are at this crossroads?
Yeah, thanks, Will. There are a lot of similar questions that people have as they approach, making this kind of shift from traditional retirement. Most often it's around, how are all the pieces going to come together? Where will the money, come from to supplement my lifestyle and my, work income? Will this be okay for me in the long run? Will it be sustainable? Will and Justin and I, we've all worked with a number of people kind of at this crossroads. And these are typically the questions, I think we've all seen, we could agree. I've been involved in this for a number of years. It actually inspired me a few years ago to co-author a book called Victory Lap Retirement, because I've seen how this can turn out so well for people who have, the courage to take this non-traditional road, less traveled, as it were. The biggest obstacle often is that without guidance on how would I go about this, how do I get the right advice to put this in place properly and set myself up for success, I get stuck in a fog of uncertainty, and it's easier just to put my head down and do what I've been doing, for the last 20 or 30 or 40 years. So, from my perspective, the key is, when we can guide people to follow a very deliberate step-by-step process. We use a process built on our extensive experience working with clients and the wisdom we've accumulated over the years, to apply to people just like you. We love doing that. Obviously, that's what we're here for. So our aim in the next few minutes is to give you an overview of that so that hopefully you walk away with a next step or an idea or two for how you could start working towards, your ideal future. At the end of the day, I'm all about helping people find more harmony in their life between, work and their actual life. Said another way, it might be that they're just focused more on pursuing, their passions instead of merely, working to get a paycheck. It's about, at this point in your life, focusing on your energies on the things that are most important to you. Justin?
Thanks, Rob. So let's talk more about that process you alluded to. We've developed and distilled this all into a three-part framework that we work through with every one of our clients. And by design, it's fairly simple. But if we do things right, we should be able to put it all onto a single page. And we're going to call that your Victory Lap plan. And it all starts with your vision. What does your ideal future look like? What are you doing? With whom? Where is this happening? How much time are you spending in your various activities? The essence of this is to understand and articulate what's most important to you. Again, if you do this right, your vision could be as simple as just a sentence or two, but it's important to, again, to articulate this, write it down, have it someplace that you can come back to. This is going to serve as your North Star as you navigate the path ahead and make critical financial decisions. And Will's going to give us a couple of common examples of client vision statements that we've come across.
Yeah, thanks. Got three really good examples here just to start to think about what this might look like. Might not be applicable for your specific situation, but I think this will help. So, for example, maybe the kids have moved out of the house and you want to consider moving to a warmer climate and pursue a job where you can work remotely. That might be part of the vision, or spend the winters in a warmer climate, maybe for just a month or two. Maybe you're renting a house for a month or two while working remotely. Another example is turning a hobby into a dream job. How about working at the golf course as a ranger, spending your days outside and working with people that have similar hobbies? You'll probably make a bunch of new friends along the way. And finally, maybe it's getting back to your roots, moving back to the area that you grew up in to spend time with lifelong friends or family that are still rooted there. So now that you've mapped out where you want to go, you can start to think about the big pieces that will be required to support that vision. Things like money, your time, overall relationships that you have, wellness, and work or no work. We can translate those things into goals like these. Those are some general examples that we've seen, but it's important to make them specific and personalized for you. Exactly, again, for example, exactly how much cash flow do you want? How much time do you want to spend? What impact do you want to have? And where do you want to go?
Yeah, thanks, Will. So you probably noticed we haven't really talked much so far about the numbers or the money. That's on purpose. The financial resources of this really are a means to an end. And so that's why we start with the end in mind, your vision and goals. And once we've done that, and if you've done that, then you can move into the financial planning items. So if you're at this, crossroads, say in your 50s or 60s, we feel like there are 5, critical financial components that you need to be thinking about, and solving for. There may be some others that come into play, but these are sort of non-negotiables as we've experienced it. The first is cash flow and sustainability. You obviously need to map out and understand your budget and cash flow needs. What are all the sources of income you're going to have from potential work, your portfolio, Social Security, maybe you have a pension, rental property income. And we need to make sure that that's going to be sustainable. We need it to last not 10 years, but 30 to 40 years, for an average 2-person retirement. So we need to do that. Ideally, you do that with a robust financial planning software to test it in all different market and inflationary types of environments. The second big key is healthcare. If you're short of age 65, where you qualify for Medicare, we need to have a bridge of healthcare coverage. There's 3 big ways that we see people doing that often. If you're close enough and leaving your employer, COBRA can be that short-term bridge to get you to age 65 and Medicare coverage. Secondly, maybe your spouse is going to keep working and you'd have coverage through your partner. That's an easy option if you've got it available to you. And lastly, you may have access to or want to look at ACA policies, the private marketplace, or even if there are part-time employment employers that are offering coverage with which you can work. Justin, I think, is going to speak about the retirement account and employment benefits.
Yeah, and this dovetails nicely with healthcare. As you're leaving employment, healthcare was usually provided in that workplace. And there's a lot of other workplace benefits we want to coordinate. And when you start digging into the details of your retirement accounts and retirement benefits, there's a lot of different moving pieces. There are a number of different age milestones, whether it's age 55, 59 and a half, 62, 65. And there might be vesting schedules for bonuses and incentive compensation. So it's really, really important. What I like to do is kind of sync up a timeline of all those moving pieces. If you're married, you got 2 timelines to sync up. So it helps to kind of lay that all out on paper, see where all the critical dates and milestones are, so you can make smart decisions around that. And at the same time, while Social Security needs to be integrated into that plan as well, because that's going to be a significant source of income when you get to retirement. The next component that we look at is a multi-year tax strategy. A lot of people we see are not thinking about taxes on this multi-year perspective. But as you get into this new stage of life where you have more control over your income, it can be really beneficial to start forecasting your income and tax rates, not just for this current year, but maybe 5, 10 years in the future. What we're trying to do in that exercise is identify low points and high points. And it's as simple as finding ways to reduce those high points in terms of taxes and bump up those low points. And if we do things right, we can kind of find a tax equilibrium that'll deliver significant lifetime tax savings. And then the last component that's critical for your financial plan is making sure your investment portfolio is aligned. So if it's not, that can really make or break this entire plan. So what you need to do here is ensure that the mix of stocks, bonds, cash, and other assets that you have in your investment portfolio is going to provide enough expected return to keep up with inflation and the growth you need, but not take too much risk that you might be stretching beyond your own personal comfort level or taking on so much volatility that it could overall jeopardize the overall sustainability of your portfolio over the long term. So it's a very delicate balance you need to seek out on the investment side. So those are the 5 universal critical components we see to every plan, but it's clearly not a comprehensive list. So Will has a couple additional items that we want to make sure we're reviewing as well.
Yeah, again, as Justin mentioned, in addition to those 5 critical items, we wanted to possibly tease out a few that might be applicable for your specific situation. For example, will you need to get an additional education to pursue a new career path? Do you still have college funding goals for your grandkids, your kids, maybe nieces or nephews? How can you maximize the impact and tax benefits of charitable giving? When will you pay off your mortgage? Should you refinance? Those are really important decisions to make prior to potentially not working. Planning around a potential inheritance that you might receive, that could be a huge piece of the overall puzzle that you need to plan for. Or actually leaving a legacy for someone else, like your kids, other family members, or a favorite charity. And finally, do you need to place any new life insurance or keep existing policies in place to bridge the gap to a certain point in time, which is an important overall piece to consider. So now we've worked through your visions, goals, and action items. This is the point where you can start to formulate your one-page plan. So we brought together an example of what this might look like and wanted to go through that with you today.
Yeah, thanks, Will. I think that's a good example. So we found by going through this exercise and really taking this process on, especially with an objective party, an advisor, somebody that can guide you, a professional, that it helps answer the questions, get past the ambiguity and the fog, and get to some clarity and hopefully confidence to see if this is a right choice for you to pursue a non-traditional another path in transitioning into retirement. So, I'd say a real key in this is an opportunity, if you're at this point in your life, to get truly intentional about doing the things, that support your vision and goals, and to potentially stop doing more of the things that don't. So if you're ready to get started and talk with an advisor, we would invite you to go ahead and request your Victory Lap planning session now.